adaptation refers to either behavioural or structural changes in organisms. And there's a couple of really key or sort of main reasons why these behavioural or structural changes come about is to make them more suited to being able to survive and reproduce in their environment. So within adaptations, there's two main types of adaptations. We have general adaptations, and we also have specific adaptations. So if we're talking about general adaptations, this could be something like wings on birds. So all birds have wings, and for most birds it's to do with them being able to fly. That is a very general adaptation. But if we look at our giraffe over on the right here, so we have a giraffe, we're going to talk about a more specific adaptation. So in the case of the giraffe, giraffes have quite long necks. So the long neck is able to help them reach higher food. So long neck is going to help them reach higher food. This is going to mean that they're able to, or they will avoid starvation. And if they're able to stay nourished for long enough, then they're able to reproduce. So this is the basis of adaptations. The reason why animals and plants adapt as well, but animals and plants go through adaptations is in order to be able to keep sort of safe and fed long enough to be able to reproduce. So reproducing is the key kind of criteria here. So I guess a little bit more info on the giraffe. What brings about adaptations is firstly genetics. So originally we would have seen some giraffes have slightly longer necks than others as a result of genetics. Now what would have followed is, or what would have caused this adaptation is environmental change. So we might have seen a period of drought where lower shrubbery and lower food sources were unavailable. So what would have happened is those with longer necks, so giraffes with longer necks thrived. So only those giraffes with the longest of necks were able to reach the higher food sources, as the lower ones were not present. So if you were a giraffe with a shorter neck, then there's every possibility that you couldn't get food, you would starve, you would die. And these giraffes with the longer necks, which thrived, they were then able to reproduce, passing on genetics. The genetics they had saw them suited to growing longer necks. And then over time, what's going to occur is shorter neck giraffes died off, longer neck giraffes were able to survive and reproduce. So then we saw this shift in adaptation towards longer necks in giraffes, and we see now giraffes generally have quite long necks. So I guess this is the basis of adaptations, is we need to see some sort of an advantage in particular organisms which are able to live longer and reproduce, and then over time those that do not have the positive adaptations will die out, and we see this general kind of shift towards a particular structural or behavioural feature in a larger group population of organisms.